Hi.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Super well.
Gee, I almost sounded Western there for a second. All right, so let me see. It's 11:12, so I got to watch my time. I'm always got to watch my time. Well, I almost feel like I don't have to do anything because I think Cecil just took care of it all. He touched upon a number of points that I will be speaking to. Oh, hello there, you two. But before I get into that, I'm going to sing you a song like I usually do. Get that hair out of there. Okay. So we are travelers throughout this multiverse of existence. And as travelers, we never know where truth is going to take us. And so being open to everything that Cecil was just expressing is a big part of the key of finding that truth and living that truth. So I have this song I've written called The Travelers, or We Are Travelers. Across the ocean, across the land, I am a traveler. Take my hand, be my companion. Please, won't you be my friend? And we'll share in the mysteries that never end. For we are travelers in this world just for a time, reaching out for a sign that's telling us what we need to be free. And this is your part. Ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la. And across a lifetime, through all we've tried, now let us travel side by side, as we try to remember who we are, while we journey back Ah, well, we're in this world just for a time, reaching out for a sign that's telling us what we need to be free. Ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la. Hey, away I go now, toward that light that's burning bright. And hey, away I go now, oh, forevermore, reaching for that other shore. Sing ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la, ooh la 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 la. Ooh la 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 la. We are travelers. Well, as usual, I always prepare so much stuff that I'd like to share with you, as you all know, which you know, today I was told I had 30 minutes, and then I went, what? You've actually cut my time even shorter now? But something I'd love to share with you here. I love this analogy. You're holding a cup of coffee. When someone comes along and bumps into you and shakes your arm or makes you spill your coffee everywhere. Why did you spill the coffee? Because someone bumped into my arm. Well, wrong answer. Sorry. You spilled the coffee because there was coffee in your cup. Had there been tea in your cup, you would have spilled some tea. Whatever is inside the cup is what will spill out. You know where I'm going. Therefore, when life comes along and shakes you, which will happen, whatever is inside you will come out. It's easy to fake it until you get rattled. So we have to ask ourselves, what's in my cup? And when life gets tough, what spills over? Joy, gratitude, peace, and humility. Anger, will those be what's in my cup? Joy, gratitude, peace, and humility? Or anger, bitterness, victim mentality, and quitting tendencies? Life provides the cup. You choose how to fill it. Today, let's work towards filling our cups with gratitude, forgiveness, joy, words of affirmation, resilience, positivity, and kindness, gentleness, and love for everyone. Little story analogy. So I'm not a physicist, but but I love to study the nature of things. And I have been doing a little bit of study into what this subject is today, the idea of consciousness, the idea of the unified field of freedom. And of course, as I was reflecting on that, I was faced with the reality of asking myself, what is the unified field? And that's a question that can be asked in many, many different ways. And there's many different kinds of answers to that question. But essentially, in classic physics, the field that we are most familiar with is the external world and the ways in which we impact that physical reality. But beneath this physical world is a consciousness of world. And so it has been said in the evolution of physics, where they found that in classical physics, which was so much about particles, like you can throw a particle, but a particle can't do anything. I can pick up the chair and I can throw it somewhere, but the chair can't do anything. But there's something else that's going on. And that is that there is the waves that exist beyond the particles or within the particles. And so what I'm trying to say here is that there's a new physics, which is the quantum physics field. And quantum is the interconnectedness of all things, and also the dynamic relationship of all of those things, the dance of life. So it's been said that beneath, like you could say down underneath it all, there's a unified field of consciousness. It's an ocean of abstract consciousness. Within that ocean is complete potential. And now it's being discovered through this even more deeply researched study into quantum reality, is that this reality is vibrating in such a way that it's bubbling up infinite potential. In fact, there is no end to it. It is pervasive in all things. So today, when I thought of speaking about this idea of the unified field of freedom, what does it mean to be free? And today I did identify like these 9 types of freedom. And I'm just going to rhyme them off really quickly. And this is in relationship to the self, because you can go into many other correlations. So there's the authentic self, free to be my authentic self. And then you have to ask yourself, what does it mean to be authentic? How do I know that I'm connected to my authentic self? Second is living as you intend to live. Another type of freedom, freedom of intention. To have an intention and then realize that intention. The next is the freedom to be debt-free. Now that's a crazy one in this world. But we're not just talking about money. We're talking about, I was thinking about it, I was reflecting on this, and the thought came to me that what if psychic debt is what we call karma? What if karma is the debt we are paying for what we could not see before? And so being free from debt is part of the whole journey of the awakening of consciousness. Be free to delegate. So often as helpers in this world, we tend to try to do way too much. And we are afraid that if we ask for help, that people will think we are less than who we think we are or who they think we are. So asking for help is first of all, it's a sign of a little bit of humility and a beautiful willingness to trust in the help that you receive. Next is the freedom to be healthy. So the idea that we identify, as Cecil made a reference to, we identify addictions. Identify anything that in some way, whether physically or mentally, is affecting my capacity to be healthy. Right? Then next is the free of fear of being alone. Another type of freedom is the freedom of complete self-acceptance, the freedom of self-love, the freedom of self-appreciation. And when I can anchor myself in that, when I can stand on the ground of that, then my ability to enjoy my aloneness or my time alone becomes that much richer, right? Often we look for things to distract ourselves from our aloneness, when the distraction is right here. It's right within us. So it also liberates us from and gives us the freedom to step out of toxic relationships, so that we're not so afraid of being alone that we won't make choices that are healthier for us and make us happier. Next is the freedom to be yourself, to put yourself first. Another area in which we might hesitate because it might make us look like we're selfish and that we only think about ourselves. But we all know that if I don't think about myself, then who is doing the thinking for me? And what dictates am I following to live my life? So you come to a place where you value and to choose things every day that you can do that demonstrates your value of yourself. What activities can I do today that will honor me, that will give me joy? Because when I do these things, I then step out into the world and I am generous with everyone else because I've been generous with myself. And you're also free to make mistakes, so you don't have to be perfect. I love the phrase, we are all perfectly imperfect. And so we accept ourselves and our imperfections. Because whenever we see something that feels or seems to be less than perfection, it is truly simply a challenge to expand into what feels to be in your way and to love even the imperfections. And then last but not least is the freedom from fear itself. So let me sing another song for you. There's a friend of mine who is the founder of the Worldwide Men's Group, which I'm a part of. And he came up with this word, and he uses it quite often. And he refers to all of us as Isbies. That we're all just an Isbie. And what's an Isbie, you would say, you would ask. Which everybody ultimately ends up asking, what's an Isbie? Well, a very simple way of it, the song will describe it to some degree. But it's, to put it very simply, an Isbie is a person who is capable of being with what just is. Everything comes and everything goes, everything you need, your heart knows. And everything's up and everything's down, everything goes round and round. There is just one in the many. I am you and you are me. You ask yourself, what does it mean? How can I be everything as an is be? Well, I have a friend who shared with me, although he goes by Jerry, he often says he is an is be. And although there's many here in this room, he would emphasize there is only one, just like Cecil did. Called the is-be. We are the is-be. We are the is-be. We are the is-be. We are the is-be. Well, I've come to understand what the is-be really is. It's when I can be with what simply is. Then I'm basking in this eternal bliss. Because we are the is-be. We are the is-be. We are the is-be. We are the is-be. Well, there's not much more that I can say about all the weird and wonderful ways that we are the is-be, and how you and I are the is-be. Well, everything comes and everything goes, everything you need, your heart knows. Everything's up and everything's down, everything goes round and round. There is just one in the many. I am you and you are me. 'Cause we are the is-be. We are the is-be. Oh, we are the is-be. We are the is-be. Watching the time like an eagle. You don't know what I just said, did you? I am, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I find that as things are evolving in this world, God, my sense of humor is just going crazy. I just find that we are living, you know, and it's not to downplay, of course, the things that we give compassionate and sensitive attention to, but I do believe we're living in a cosmic joke, and we're just here to figure it out in a lot of ways. There was that quote that I shared that was from Khalil Gibran. Your living and freedom is determined not so much by what life brings to you as much as by the attitude you bring to life. Not so much by what happens to you as the way your mind looks at what happens. And so when we think of the unified field of freedom, we would take all of these things that I mentioned, being authentic, free to make mistakes, free to delegate. And this is just in relationship to my personal sense of self. Then there's all the other ways in which we find the field of freedom. And I'm going to sing one more song, and I'm going to do a meditation with you. And before I do, I'll just read these two quotes. One that you're very familiar with, or actually, I think you're familiar with both of them. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thomas Jefferson. And then this quote by John 8:36, which is, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so I'll just end with this one reference. I mean, this is a huge subject. It's something you could talk about at great length and in great discussion. But in essence, I just want to emphasize the fact that freedom comes from awareness. When I am aware of something without investing any judgment, expectation, agenda, and I'm just aware of something that, when in the quote of, in the presence of God is where I find myself embraced and held in love. And it's this presence is the key here. To give full presence to something. So when you are in any kind of a negative state, instead of trying to figure anything out, the first and most important thing is to allow that state to be where it is. To be with it. The one thing I've come to see in life is that, and for myself, is that everything desires to be acknowledged. Everything wants attention. And often when we experience something difficult, we want to push that thing away. We want it to go away. And we don't want to give it necessarily our attention. But when we do that, we perpetuate it coming back again and again, and it will change its clothing. It'll come back in different guises. And so this sounds so simple, but to be truly free is to be fully present, with no attachment to outcome. When someone's in pain, to be present to that pain, including with yourself. And so I will end by singing this song I wrote for a friend. I don't know where these accents are coming from, but it was actually on their birthday. Every day the earth rises up, giving what can fill my cup with all that I need. And every day I feel the warming sun shining down on everyone, your light and your love. I am grateful to be a child. I am grateful to be a child of the universe. I am grateful to be a child of love. the medicine you hold within, sharing it with everyone so tenderly. And all the wisdom that you bring when your heart begins to sing so generously. I'm grateful to be a child. I'm grateful to be a child of the universe. I'm grateful to be a child of love. And every time you welcome me so unconditionally, you set me free. And every way you share your soul plants the seed so I can grow beyond what I have known. 'Cause I am grateful to be a child. I am grateful to be a child of the universe. I am grateful to be a child of love, of love, of love, of love. All right, little meditation for you. So just close your eyes. Like you, the world already has what it needs to be perfect. Some have feared the healing of our world because they have equated healing with ending. But this could not be so. All healing is a beginning. The resurrection of our life will come not through destruction, but through transformation. The caterpillar does not die. It becomes something entirely new and more wonderful. To hold our world in the willingness to have it continue to live, and to acknowledge that such a world already lives within our hearts. This is the greatest gift that you and I can offer our planet. Thus, we arrive at the ultimate awareness of the spiritual warrior, a joyful renunciation which only the stoutest of heart can embrace. The world already saved. The healing of the planet has already been accomplished by God, and you are free of this awesome burden. Spirit does, however, vitally need one contribution from you, something that only you can choose to offer, and that is your vision. You will not see a perfect world until you see a perfect world. This is the first and final element of healing. the part that you came here to play. You may delay it, but you cannot change it, nor would you want to. Who but an insane person would focus on chaos when he or she could create healing through a vision of perfection? You are not insane, but you have been asleep. The world does not need your manipulation, but it is desperate for your awakening. With your arising to the truth within you, you will carry all who have slumbered to their healing. You are not separate from the world. Heal your mind, and you will transform your world. Thus, you have the key to the healing of the planet Earth. Offer then this gift with me. We need each other to share in this vision. Joined, our minds are an unstoppable force. Jesus said that the gates of hell shall not prevail against the Son of God. And we join him in his identity as a peaceful warrior. He came here as a harbinger of what we have come to accomplish. And we shall not fail. We cannot fail because we act in the name of the one who sent us. And I assure you that we are sent in the name of love. What one man can do is change the world and make it new again. And that was written by John Denver. So be blessed, dear ones, and thank you so much for having me again. And I think I'm very close to the wire. So much joy to you in moving forward in life.